To order. It is, let's see, 6. And begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call: Gary Roth, Anthony Grass,
Here.
Carl Kinski,
Here.
Justin Donovan,
Here.
Kathy Waltz, Junie Ewing, Jerry Bowman,
Here.
Joe Prince. We have a quorum. Maybe we'll have a quorum plus one, no?
Wrong Joe.
First on the agenda is the approval of the agenda.
A motion approved. Second.
A motion and a second for approval of the agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Next is the approval of the minutes from May 6th.
Can I just ask if the special use permit that we approved of passed with the board or not?
They did not decline any special use.
Okay,
Correct. That, from Mr. Carver?
yes.
Yes, it passed.
Motion approved minute.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for the approval of the May 2nd minutes. All in favor? Any opposed? Well, as far as introductory evidence, we're not considering any special use tonight. I do have, or actually Drew has, and he'll pass out the comprehensive plan, so we'll move past that. Any citizen input?
Nope.
All right. I have no old business, so really the only thing on the agenda for this evening is the St. Genevieve Comprehensive Plan 2024 final draft. And to introduce us to that, I'm going to introduce Drew from the Seymour RPC. I have one.
Thanks.
So this is the draft version. We will be doing a public hearing on the 18th, I believe it is.
Yes.
So comprehensive plan is by state statute what allows the city to conduct planning and zoning. Without a comprehensive plan, cities can't do planning and zoning. Typically, the plan has about a 20-year planning horizon, which is what we have taken into account here. Obviously, the further out you go, the more fuzzy things get. But you'll notice the plan has chapters on physical environment, looking at the population, both historic trends and future projections as well. It's got chapters on economic analysis, housing, existing and future land use, transportation plans, community facilities, historic preservation, tourism, capital improvements, and annexation. So any one of those chapters could be a full plan unto itself. The comprehensive plan, as the name kind of implies, is looking at a comprehensive view of the city. No one chapter goes deep in depth. Otherwise, the document would be 1,000 pages long. The point of the comprehensive plan is really just to lay out the comprehensive or the general plan for the city. It's not intended to be written in stone. Obviously projecting 20 years from now, there are some things in this plan that are not going to happen, or the city's going to decide in 10 years, we don't want to do that anymore. What I always told the steering committee and at the public meetings was, if everything in this plan happens in the next 20 years, we did something wrong. We weren't looking far enough ahead. We weren't branching out far enough. We really the city should not accomplish everything in here. There are going to be some things that don't get accomplished, and that's fine. There will be some streets or some land uses that don't get zoned or put into use the way we drew out here. That's okay. I always kind of look at it as if you're going from point A to point B, when you come to a detour, if you generally know where you're going, you know if you should take the left or the right turn, right? If you have no idea where you're going and you come to the detour, well, we're kind of, I don't know which way to go. Do we take the north detour or the south? Well, if you know that you're generally heading northeast, well, taking the north detour is probably a pretty safe bet. The two big components, or two of the bigger components of the comprehensive plan, are the major street plan and the future land use. So you'll see that, again, the major street plan is laid out in this document. It is up to date with the feedback that we got from the steering committee. Of course, we could still get some feedback from the public meeting, the open house on the 18th. But for the most part, it's going to have to be a rather large oversight on our part. If something comes up at the open house and it's something that is significant enough that it elicits a significant change in the document, that probably means that we messed up. We've had numerous conversations with city staff. We've had multiple public hearings and public meetings on this. We've gotten a lot of feedback and input. So really the final public meeting that we've got coming up is just kind of one last chance just for the public to make sure we didn't just completely whiff on something. But of course, we're open to your input as well. We'll be back. I think the plan is next month for typically in Missouri, the P&Z are the ones who actually adopt the comprehensive plan. We'll be taking this to the Board of Aldermen just to present it to them so that they, see the plan, know what's going on. Many of them have already been involved in the process, but we do want to present it to them. But we'll be back, I assume, next month for you guys to formally adopt the comp plan. But that means that even with the public meeting coming up, we still got a month before it is formally adopted by you guys. So that is a month for any input that you guys have. Whether it's something, if you find a typo, let us know. If you find something that, you kind of look at it and you think, man, I have no idea why we're doing this. At the very least, send myself or David an email, and we're happy to have a conversation about why it's in the plan the way it is. Hopefully that why, answers your question. But if you've got more and you want to have a discussion about it, we're open to that as well. Obviously, we're getting down near the end of it. So like I said, we're obviously pretty confident in the document and that we've collected everybody's input and we've got things squared away. But it's not final until it's done. So we will welcome any comments that you guys have. I've also sent David a digital PDF version of it. If you'd rather have that, he could send that on to you as well. Does anybody have any questions, or is there anything you wanted me to touch on more specifically?
No, you hit my notes. So if you've already reviewed it or have more reviewing to do, G13 is future land use, has the major street plan overlaid on it. H5 is the major street plan, and M9 is a future annexation plan. All the goals are summarized in section N. So as Drew alluded to, those are that's the major product out of this plan. But there is a lot in there to go over. The schedule would be on the 18th of July. We'll have a public meeting, and that'll be advertised in the Herald also. On the 25th of July, we'll present the plan to the Board of Aldermen. And then we will meet back on our regularly scheduled meeting August 1st to adopt the plan if you see fit.
I just have one question.
Yeah.
Or one question, but have you been satisfied with the public input, and what, if anything, has been the most controversial thing in this plan?
The public, well, so public participation is always, it's difficult to get. I mean,
I understand.
right?
That was the most interesting part to read. Really the survey result.
I'm just wondering what
Well,
the most,
so the turnout to the actual public meetings, public hearings was minimal. I think we had 5 or so, right around 5 people at each public meeting. The responses, though, to the public survey, it's been probably a year since the public survey was done, so I don't remember now. I think it was like 300 or something. It was
Between 3 and 4.
yeah, it was close to about 10% of the city's population participated in that survey. So I felt like that was really I mean, if you can get 10% of the population, I mean, obviously some of those are kids, they're not participating in the survey, but that would indicate that probably 20% or something of adults participated in the survey. So I thought that was really good. Better than some other survey participation that we've had. I don't know that there was anything that was controversial.
there was some, like, people were concerned about annexation.
There was, again, it's been a year since I looked at the survey results.
It seemed like it had mostly to do with like the jobs, the available jobs, restaurants, was.
Oh, the survey. Retail.
Shopping, retail. I just off the top of my head, I don't really recall. I mean, there was certainly kind of, as they're getting to, there was some dissatisfaction with some things in the city. Like, I do remember one person I think was, said something about there's almost no place to go buy socks or undershirt, which kind of, stood out to me as I was going through it. So, there were comments like that, but there wasn't anything that stood out to me as surprising, I've worked with St. John with the RPC for almost 15 years now. So, housing was an issue, which, I think most everyone's aware of, restaurants, retail. So,
Just wondered if there was any surprise issue.
there wasn't anything really surprising to me. I don't know if anything stood out to.
No, I think it reiterated what we have been talking about: housing, more employees, daycare, childcare, and more places to shop.
And of course, not surprisingly, people were very interested in preserving the historic nature of the city. That is one thing in this plan that has again, each chapter is a small kind of high level look at each topic. But for some communities that we do comprehensive plans for, tourism and historic preservation are not, historic preservation is really not much. It's kind of included in other chapters. It doesn't really get its own. St. John is unique in that tourism and historic preservation were important elements. We've worked with St. John. We know the historic character of the city, so we knew going in that those were going to be important chapters, but the survey results certainly told us that, the city, the residents still view that as an important characteristic of the city that they want to, keep and promote. So, sometimes I guess it's kind of like no news is good news. You know, sometimes when you hear the things that you're kind of expecting to hear, it doesn't necessarily mean that the process wasn't useful. It just means that, okay, people are still, you know, concerned or interested in, you know, the things that we thought they were. And, you know, it's just good to do that pulse check and make sure there hasn't been some huge shift. So.
I think there's also a big push, what we saw in some of the results was infrastructure. Most notably at the time, the sidewalks and streets, which is why the board is moving forward with what they're doing. So we're getting a lot of feedback on that.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Motion to accept the draft.
No, really just wanted to give it to you, discuss it. Know that Drew is here. You know, you can, like Drew said, send any questions or comments you have to me or to the RPC. Like I said, we'll go forward to the board and then back here August 1st for adoption.
Is there anything that you all want to look at in particular? And again, as a group, if there was anything in particular you wanted to see, and while Drew's here, if there's any, you know, any questions about that section. If not, yeah, it's kind of a study of what we've come up with and what the steering committee has focused on, as well as with staff.
I will go over real quick, just in case you do have questions. So that major street plan, again, which is one of the major products of this, which is H5. Again, this is just a plan. So none of this is written in stone. None of this must happen. It's just a plan for helping the city to grow. You'll see on that plan, there is a north arterial that would run from 61 to Little Rock Road. And of course, there is extension of Maple Drive out to 61. Those two roads cross. There's then a collector proposed that would run from Riverview out to that new northern arterial. And then there's an extension of Virginia to White Sands. So that's basically the northern parts that you see on that plan. If you come down south of Market, so within the city, there's an extension of Seraphim over to, boy, I'm not sure if that's DuPont, but to the subdivision that's kind of behind Rozier that runs through that field across from Seraphim, and then an extension of from Cedar to that new proposed collector. In other words, if a expansion of Rozier addition could happen, that's where it would go, and those streets would be needed there. There's also an extension from South Gabourey or Chadwell up to Cedar and then over to DuPont. There's an extension of what would be Klein Street off of 61 along the homes and properties that face St. Mary, which then connects to South Main. And then if you go south of there, south of 61, you can see quite a bit. There's a proposed southern arterial, so this would be further out than Progress Parkway. There's two proposed collectors that would connect Progress Parkway to that southern arterial. And then, of course, there's the proposed extension of Parkwood and of Bosler through what could be a future subdivision next to the Valley baseball field. And then a road that would go from those roads, a proposed collector, over to Highway 32. Finally, or actually there's two more. There's a proposed collector that would go from Progress Parkway, I guess you'd say northwest, and then come back to Industrial Drive out there in those fields along the west side of Highway 13. Correct, by SGI. And then finally, over on the southeast side, there is a proposed collector from the proposed new arterial back to basically Valley Spring. So that, along with, as Drew mentioned, the future land use, which is in G13, and the future annexation, which is M9, are, some of the guiding documents for the board and the city. Any questions on any of those? That's really all I was going to cover.
All right. Well, again, as you guys review it, if you have any suggestions, any questions, you can send them to David and he can forward them on to us. Or you can get in touch with me directly. I don't have any business cards with me, but David has my email.
I do.
He can forward the plan on to you, the digital version, and then you'll have my email. It's got my phone number and everything down at the bottom. So any comments, any questions that you guys have, like I said, we're absolutely open to them. And then we'll, barring anything there, we'll continue on with the final open house, and then the Board of Aldermen, and then here in a month for
Meeting on the 18th, is that it?
Yes. So that'll be a public meeting, open house, plan will be available, and then on to the Alderman, 25th, back here on the 1st.
So the meeting on the 25th will actually probably be the 24th.
Oh, shoot, yeah.
It was requested our last meeting to move it because there's a countywide forum thing. Yeah. That'll be Wednesday night.
All right. If there's no other questions or comments, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion adjourned.
Second. I have a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Carries.